Hi everyone, it's Tara from the Progressive Center. Hope all is well. Today I'm going to share with you my top 10 tips for math and science exam success. So it's June and we are in the heart of exam season for high school students in Ontario. So what does that mean for you? It means that you're going to start to prepare for your exams. Now, if you're in grade 9, this would be your second set of exams that you've had since you've started high school. If you're in grade 10 through 12, then this is not new to you. However, I aim today to provide you with some additional tips that maybe perhaps you never thought about when you were preparing for your exams. So let's get into today's tips. So the first thing that you're going to want to do when you're preparing for your exam is going to start early. Now, it's already mid-June or close to mid-June anyways, but what you want to do is set a study schedule well before the exam date. So if you have exams coming up that are, say, around the second, going into like the second week of June, maybe perhaps around the 13th or 14th, around that time, you're going to want to start to study way before that. Now, I'm not talking about 6 months in advance, that's too soon. You want to maybe perhaps start studying at least 2 weeks minimum before your exam. So if you're watching this and today is June 7th, then maybe perhaps it might be a little too late if you haven't started studying it yet. However, if you can get your schedule down pat, you can still have a lot of time to prepare for your exams. You're going to want to review and revise your topics regularly instead of cramming. Cramming actually does more damage than we think because it doesn't give you a lot of time to process and retain that information if you are cramming all of your information into such a short period of time. You're also then going to want to identify areas that you feel that you need to focus on early on. These are going to be the concepts that you felt maybe perhaps that you didn't master throughout the semester. Maybe perhaps there are areas that you still feel a little bit weak, and you might want to spend a little bit more time on these particular areas. Our next tip is going to be to create a study schedule. So what does that mean? So one, you're going to want to divide your study material into manageable chunks. Now, most students in Ontario have 4 exams per semester, which means that you're going to divide, if you have an exam for each course, you're going to want to divide each of those courses into a timetable for you to develop a schedule. You're going to allocate specific time slots for each subject and topic that you have to review, and you're going to want to include breaks and review sessions in your schedule. When you are creating your study schedule, it's going to be really important that you take into consideration subjects that you feel that you might need a little bit more time compared to others that maybe perhaps you're stronger in. Now, that doesn't mean to completely ignore those subjects, but you might want to put a little bit more time for those subjects that you struggle with, where you had a more difficult time through the semester in, a little bit more time in your schedule. You're also going to want to be realistic about the time that you have in order to study successfully for your exams. Let's take a look at point number 3. Point number 3, practice, practice, practice. Okay, solve as many practice problems as possible. Practice problems from previous tests that you might have done. If your teacher is going to give you an exam review, definitely take the time to go through those questions and practice as much as you can, especially with math. It's such a subject where you have to do things constantly and repetitively in order for you to master the ability to solve the formulas and to solve the problems and whatnot. You're going to want to, again, put as many practice problems in your study time as possible. You're going to want to focus also too on the areas that you find most challenging. So what does that mean? Again, going back to the subject areas that you had difficulty with, focus a little bit more time on those problems. That way you can see if you're able to master them throughout your study time for your examples, and then try different types of questions and problem solving approaches. This is especially key for math and science because you're going to be assessed not only on your knowledge of the questions, but also on your application, how you're able to figure out what type of formula you might need to answer a question and going from there. Let's take a look at tip number 4. So tip number 4 really comes down to the core concepts of math and science. You really want to make sure that you're understanding the concepts and not just the formulas. Gone are the days where you would just memorize the formulas and then you would use them for when you were solving your questions. You really want to make sure that you're understanding the reasoning why you're choosing the formulas and not just memorizing the formulas. You want to make sure that you grasp the underlying principles and theories that are in your math and science courses. You're going to want to relate the formulas to their conceptual basis, as well as apply concepts to solve unfamiliar problems. Again, this is going to help you master those skills in physics, in chemistry, in your functions and your advanced functions and calculus courses. It's really important that you really understand the concepts and not just memorizing of the formulas. Tip number 5 is looking at active learning techniques. What is active learning? Active learning essentially is when you're actively involved in your learning. You're going to want to create visual aids like diagrams, your flowcharts, or your mind maps that will help you. You're going to want to maybe perhaps explain concepts out loud to yourself or to study groups, or even try teaching the material to someone else. They say that if you have the ability to teach something to someone else, that actually helps you to reinforce the concepts not only in your brain, but it helps you to feel confident that you're able to then take those knowledge and skills into your exams and do well with them. You really want to also make sure that if you are using study groups, that you're using techniques like this. That way you can talk things out. Many of us are audio learners, so definitely hearing somebody else explain something will definitely help with our own learning. I remember when I was in high school, what I used to like to do personally is I used to like to take like a little mini recorder and I would record myself studying definitions, concepts and whatnot in both like in my humanities courses, of course. But you can definitely do this in your science courses, like in your biology, in your chemistry courses, your physics courses and whatnot, and then listening back and playing it back, because then you're retaining and you're listening to that information, and you can use that to help you as you're studying. Tip number 6, again, is going to go back to taking breaks and resting. I know it can be really stressful as a high school student preparing for your exams. However, you do need to take a break and rest. You're going to want to study in short, focused bursts with regular breaks. Get adequate sleep and rest to recharge, as well as engage in physical activity or relaxation techniques. It's going to be really stressful for some students during this time, so you really want to make sure that you are taking care of your mental health as you're preparing for your exams. One particular strategy that I like to use now in my own personal daily life is the Pomodoro technique, where you are studying for, say, 25 minutes. At the end of 25 minutes, you take a 5-minute break. And then after your 5-minute break is done, you then study again for another 25 minutes. It takes your studying time and breaks it up into smaller chunks, which feels a little bit better when you're trying to instead of, sorry, I lost my train of thought, but instead of studying for a longer period of time and being tired as you're reading, it actually energizes you, because then you'll be forced to get up out of your desk, maybe perhaps go take a walk outside and then come back and then tackle another 25 minutes. Again, seek help when needed. Okay. Now, a lot of students don't necessarily always like to ask for help. However, if the help is there, whether you're asking your teacher, if you have a tutor, or your classmates, please make sure that you're asking for clarification in the areas that you feel that you need additional support. Now is not the time to be shy and to refuse help if it's there, because you really want to make sure that you are doing successful on your exams. And if you have the ability to attend extra help sessions at school or even use online resources, there's a lot of great websites that you can use. For example, like Khan Academy is a great one where you can go and seek out videos on a variety of science concepts, a variety of math concepts that will help you when you're studying. Staying organized, again, is going to help you get through exam time. You want to keep your notes, all your practice problems, and your study materials organized, whether you're using folders or binders or any digital organization tools to really help you. It will really help you stay focused with your studying, as well as to know where everything is. But what's most important is that you are going to develop a system that works best for you. Practice time management. Okay, so you're going to want to stimulate your exam conditions with time practice tests. Once you get those exam reviews, those previous exams from your teachers, if you know that your exam is 2 hours, time yourself. That way you know how much you're able to get through in a 2-hour period. Okay, learn to allocate time effectively for different types of questions. You're going to want to spend less time, for example, on multiple choice questions rather than on questions that you're actually going to have to go through and solve formulas, solve problems, and whatnot that require a little bit more thinking. Okay, develop strategies for prioritizing and skipping questions if needed. One strategy that I used to do when I was in school is I would do all the questions that I knew first because I was able to pump those out really quickly. And then I would go back to those questions that I struggled with because then I had a little bit more time to handle them towards the end. Okay, so again, whatever strategy works for you, but the key thing is you really want to make sure that you're managing your time during those exams. And next and lastly, again, just take care of yourself. It can be extremely stressful during exam period, but that doesn't mean that you should stop taking care of yourself mentally and physically. You want to make sure that you're maintaining a balanced diet and stay hydrated. Exercise regularly to reduce your stress and improve your focus. Practice relaxation techniques like deep breathing or meditation. Make sure the night before your exam, you're going to bed on time. You're getting a solid 7 to 9 hours of rest. That way, when you go into your exam, you're fully refreshed and you're ready to tackle those exams. Again, I really hope that these tips were helpful for you and they will get you through exam time. If you have any questions, please feel free to always reach out. I'm always here to help students, to give them guidance as to how they can become better students. Again, my name is Tara. I am the owner of the Progressive Center. Good luck with your exam this semester, and we'll see you soon.